Um, it's just like we we'll never say as a fan base don't try and get the referee to blow a penalty for your team, the other team being offside or those
Yes,
sorts of things. That's part of our job as fans in the stands. But when it rolls over into abuse, when we're not thinking about that there's a human being behind the whistle, and alongside that human being there's other human beings who are part of that person's life who this kind of thing does affect. Really, we need to recognise that more maybe at this stage, because it's going too far, isn't it?
yeah, and really sad thing, we were stood beside a young girl who was possibly even younger than Joshua, or no older anyway, and throughout the match, this is the terrible referee, he's awful, he's giving such bad calls, and I thought, I don't even know how many of the rules you actually know, and I really don't know where you've got that from. But for at that age, that to be her sole focus, I just thought was really sad.
Yeah, I think that's awful. You see it from all ages as well. Then I didn't realise that kids were kind of involved in it.
But I guess if that's all that gets talked about
on the way home,
on the way to the match, on the way home from the match, then that is going to be what you think you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to the refs out there, we might call for you giving more penalties to our sides, but we back you when it comes to this sort of stuff. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And that comes from everyone involved at SLP. Okay, that is the news from around the world of Rugby League. We're now going to move into our Super League match reviews.
So it was round 6 of Super League, and the average attendance was 9,461. And the first game of the round was Leeds against Toronto, and it finished Leeds 66, Toronto 12, after half-time being Leeds 36, Toronto 6. This was in front of 12,143 people and refereed by Liam Moore. So in the stats, below 900 metres and below 90% tackle success rate for Toronto spells defeat. Leeds had 651 more metres at 1.6 metres per carry better average gain, making 6 more breaks, so stats say they would win big, and they did. Individually for Leeds, Ash Handley with 1 try and 158 metres, Robert Louis with 2 tries, 6 tackle busts, 122 metres and 3 offloads. Cameron Smith with 1 try, 2 try assists, 114 metres and 4 offloads. And Conrad Hurrell with 1 try, 1 try assist, 6 tackle busts, 108 metres and 2 clean breaks. For the losing Toronto side, Liam Kay with 9 tackle busts, 132 metres and 2 clean breaks. And Matty Russell with 10 tackle busts and 105 metres. So not much to write home about really there for Toronto.
Both wingers coming out of yardage, isn't it, that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Whilst there wasn't much to write home about for Toronto, like you say, we still heard plenty of fan views. We start with Karsten, who said, "Geez, Toronto were shit. Leeds were better in every aspect of the game. On points difference against Leeds, Toronto is worse than KR, which should worry some people in Manchester/Rochdale."
Matt Speakman 20 said, "Always thought Toronto would turn plenty of teams over once they got to actually play at home and that they'd stay up, but not sure anymore. Couldn't stop a nosebleed 2 weeks in a row. Leeds with nice attacking shape, and Dwyer, Gale and Louis all sharp but paper-thin defence."
Shoddy and Mungo said, "A game plan that looks like an NFL team looking for a last-second score with 100 laterals doesn't seem like good coaching."
Mal Karma Tios said, "Wrong kit Karma. Why weren't Leeds playing in their #Summer Beach Rugby white kit like the other games? Still, the beach looked good with the tide out. Next up, Summer Bash played in spring in Leeds because the beach has less donkey shit than Blackpool, for fuck's sake."
Lee Whitnell said, "With errors aplenty and a defence as soft as a minx minge, Toronto were like lambs to the slaughter against a white-hot Leeds. The Wolfpack must be praying for spring and home advantage. It's hard to see them getting any points until then."
Cav said, "Only be for tonight, but we are top of the league. and it's been a long, long time. Leeds looks phenomenal again. Gale runs the show so well. He links great with Louis, Myler and everyone else. Great performances across the park in a real dominant display. Fair play to Toronto. They never gave up, but just aren't good enough. 3 tough games for Leeds to come, so it will be a real test. So let's not get ahead about ourselves.
Josh said, was this a game where Toronto were really poor or Leeds were really good? It was nice to see an entertaining Leeds with Gale's flick pass, which I'm sure people will say was nothing special, and Louis' high-five try. Such good fun to watch. That was ridiculous. Celebrating before you scored. I hoped someone was going to fly in and take his head off. I do have to say, that's me by the way saying that, not Josh. And Josh goes on to say, I do have to say Toronto's go forward was non-existent, and when in attack it was quite dull to watch as it appeared impossible to result in anything but an unforced error. Gale appears to be the missing piece. Myler is a great utility player showing some amazing running and tackling skills all round, a team effort scoring all over the park. On Gigo, I see why he didn't get a club. He seems to be a toxic player, moaning at his own teammates a lot. Toronto were arguing under the sticks whilst waiting for conversions. It looked like not a nice place to be right now in that Toronto camp.
Genghis Campbell said, last week's review but shitter. Not the review, the performance.
Always in our shadow. Get in it. Oh no, wait, there's going to be a whole chaos lag. He says, as soon as Wilkin and his journeyman return to the lower reaches, the better. As good as Leeds have supposedly gotten since Hull handed them their asses in round 1, there is no reason for such abject performances, followed by McDonald crying about how it's not fair.
John Hamilton said, Louis and Gale played havoc with the Wolf Pack, and Myler again had an influential presence. A couple of decent tackles as well. I hear South want to trade him for Mitchell. Leeds kept the pressure on and scored late in both halves, although Toronto were done after 60 minutes. So many tries allowed through the middle, shipped 66 points and only 1 try by a winger. Shall we just skip to the playoffs?
Rich Wilkinson said, potential banana skin averted. Another good performance from Leeds. It's great to see the kids winning the games as well as the senior players looking solid. Gale is in real good form and the team spirit is awesome. Nice to be at the right end of the table.
Flatboy Rob said, why did I put myself through this? Toronto were dog shit, and I'm talking Great Dane levels of dog shit. Leeds were quite good, but I'm pretty sure Loch Lane under 12s would have scored more, so the boys from the big city whose ground is too big for them shouldn't get too excited just yet. Hashtag wankers.
POB 1976 said, Leeds were far too good for Toronto. Leeds were ruthless in attack and could have taken their foot off the gas, but with points difference likely to be important, continued to put the points on a deflated Toronto.
Tom Andrews said, this season is making me pro-expansion. They are so good for, brackets, keeping us in the league. Keep it up, my Canadian friends.
Yeah, I mean, Hull KR fans will be watching the Wolfpack's demise with great joy, and Leeds fans will be watching what their side are doing, top scorers in Super League, with great joy. What did you make of this one? How easy was it to pick out star men in the blue and amber?
Well, to be honest, I had a slight problem with this one because I was actually staying in a hotel, not very far away from the Headingley ground, but it was one of those really rubbish hotels where you only get 20 minutes Wi-Fi free.
You only needed 20 minutes to find out what was happening in this.
So I switched it on as the decision went up as to whether the Toronto winger had scored, but his foot was just into touch. So that went up as I switched on. I was like, oh, that's 6-all. And then it came back not. And obviously from then on, it wasn't really worth watching. So Leeds scored the next after that, didn't they? Yeah. So by the time my 20 minutes was up, I wasn't actually that bothered.
In that 20 minutes, did anyone stand out for you in a Leeds shirt?
It's hard to say because it was a team performance, wasn't it? I mean, yeah, Gale looked very comfortable.
Lechke was quite good. I don't know how much that'll come across in a short sort of spell, but he kind of celebrated his Knights call up with a good performance, I thought. Well, or earned his Knights call up because it came after. Yeah, celebrated Sarah. Yeah,
yeah. No, it was one of those that Leeds just ran through them, didn't they? It was a long match for Toronto.
It was, and I think they make the games longer on themselves by being so lateral. They go sideways so much, and I almost wonder if they're tiring themselves out with that amount of sideways movement.
That energy going forward.
They have to use so much energy, don't they, to try and make any meters because the ball is flung so far, so wide every time.
Yeah. And 2 big points. One, John Wilkin is such a cheater. You're tackled, Wilkin. Get up and play the ball. Don't get up. Stand over the defender. Walk 3 yards further forward and then play the ball. That doesn't count as making yardage. And 2, why is Richard Agar unable to hold his microphone to send a message down to the touchline?
I was wondering that.
Webster had to do it for him. Why? What are you doing?
Maybe it's because, do you remember the old, when he was the Wakefield coach, there used to be that parody. He might have been when he was Hull FC coach as well. There was that parody Twitter account where it always was on about how he was always eating a bag of boiled sweets, so no one could tell what he was saying. So maybe it's just that James Webster enunciates better than...
No, but Agar was still talking into it. It's just that Webster was holding it in front of his mouth.
Yeah, he really is treating him like a little bitch, isn't he?
That's just ridiculous, Does he make you tea and drink it for you as well?
No, but he holds it in front of him with a straw. Yeah, I mean, maybe the try of the game might have been the Richie Marler one that had the flick pass. Would you agree with that one?
Yeah. When a team's scoring 66 points, that's a lot of tries.
A lot of easy tries as well. I quite like the... which one was it? Was it the Cameron Smith? There was one where Cameron Smith did an offload and then there was a Cuthbertson involved. I can't remember if it was Cuthbertson's try or Alesky's try, but that one was quite nice as well. You just talked about John Wilkin. What I would say is they need to get him in for that operation, because playing 1 or 2 games as the hero who's battling against the injury, fair enough. But in this game, he looked done for. He looked crocked. He looked done for. He'll
do a Sean O'Loughlin soon, where he's had a bit of publicity. Then he can, retire for the rest of the season, because it's not like they're going to have any important matches to play.
Well, I think they might.
Yeah,
against your friends from across the other side of the city, possibly. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, other than saying Leeds were massively dominant, and all the Leeds fans who got in touch to emphasise that kind of said it more than we can. I don't have much more to add on that one.
No, it's one of those that almost difficult to talk about, because basically Leeds were good and Toronto were not.
Yeah, and it is hard to assess, isn't it? Because Leeds were you could assess Leeds against Warrington. They kind of dominated Warrington in the middle and did lots of good stuff and worked off the back of that and then took the chances, etc. Against Toronto, it didn't seem like they needed to work to take the chances, and that's the most worrying thing from Toronto's perspective, because they've been in other games. Wigan, they were in for an hour. They were in it for an hour. Salford, they were in it till very late, the last 5 minutes, really. Warrington, they maybe deserved something from that game that they didn't quite manage to get, and then this one.
It's like when you watch, a cup match, Hull against Rochdale or Wigan against Batley or something. How do you win by 50 points or whatever, but how do you actually assess your team?
Yeah.
Because what were they playing against? Yes, they've beaten the opposition in front of them, but they've not really had to do a lot in order to do that.
Yeah, the team that should be able to learn more from this game is definitely Toronto, and it's definitely, try and go forwards a bit before you go sideways, guys.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to Friday night and the surprise result of the round, some might say. St Helens against Huddersfield, and it finished 12-10 to the visiting Giants. It was 10-6 to Saints at half-time. 10,418 were there to see this one, and Gareth Hewer was the referee. The stats, they don't really explain the score. Saints had 67 more carries, made 462 more metres, and 2 more breaks. 10 more successful offloads, and a 6.7% better team tackle success rate. Huddersfield only just scraped over 1,000 metres in the game. They were under 90% tackle success rate. From that, I don't know how they won from that. In terms of individuals, though, Jake Wardle with a fantastic try,